Number 4 of our list is Josuke Higashita. He is the 4th JoJo in the whole series. He is actually my least favorite, due to many reasons. One of the reasons is because of his weird attitude thing that when people make fun of his hair, he goes crazy and he like destroys shit. And honestly, he beats people's ass. And not only that, it's also his punk attitude and how greedy he could tend to be. Like, for example, he became friends with this alien that's able to turn into almost anything. And he used his friend to turn into a pair of dice, and he basically did a gambling game against Rohan. If you don't believe me, just go on Crunchyroll and watch it. But yeah, he used him to gamble against Rohan, and it honestly was really weird, and he ended up losing the bet because Rohan suspected stuff or whatever. And he ended up getting in trouble due to him being greedy. And sometimes it tends to get him and his friends in a lot of trouble, almost near death. And also another thing that makes him my least favorite is he tends to be unrealistic. Like, for example, how how one second he'll beat the crap out of somebody, then he'll just heal them. Or for example, well, this is all my opinion. He'll beat the crap out of somebody and heal them. Oh yeah, and another thing is its design. JoJo's design is way better, even despite the weird hair thing. But I mean, Josuke is still an overall amazing character. It's just due to his personality and how he handles certain situations. Don't get me wrong. He handles situations very well. He manages to stay calm, be determined, and get whatever he needs to get done. It's just when it comes to certain situations and his personality and how he handle certain things, I just don't necessarily like it. I guess I just feel like I can't necessarily relate to a character like him. I mean, I guess that's why he's my 4th favorite JoJo. And at number 3 of the list is Joseph Joestar, one of the amazing JoJos and honestly one of my favorites. He's an amazing JoJo due to the fact that he's incredibly funny, amazing to watch, how he handles certain situations, and how you think of certain situations not going his way, and all of a sudden he just flips the whole script and he's gonna beat your ass. I love that about him. And also, it also has to do with the fact of everything that's going on in part 2, which is called Battle Tendency. The whole situation takes place in World War II. So basically, as you can see him, Rudolf von Stroheim, he eventually ends up teaming up with Joseph Joestar, and you start to think that this dude's gonna be a villain. Oh crap, this guy's gonna be an asshole. Oh, you know, I will admit, he is an asshole at first, but eventually he ends up teaming up with Joseph, and these two end up teaming up to go up against the Pillarmen, which is Cars, AC/DC, and some other dickhead. I honestly always forget his name. He has like a dildo on his head. Anyway, they end up teaming up to fight these aliens, and the way the whole situation went, it was really cool. And also, he's one of my favorite JoJos due to the fact of how resilient he is and how he uses his scarf to fucking fight and shit. That's pretty badass. And I also love how intelligent he is, how he always thinks of the situation before it ends up happening. Like, he'll literally know what you're gonna say before you even say it. And he's an amazing Hamon user, and also it's the struggle that he went through due to the fact that, spoilers, when Caesar died, you felt bad for Joseph due to the fact that he finally managed to make a friend, and he finally managed to relate to somebody. He ended up becoming friends with another Hamon user, and they ended up having each other's back, and an altercation happened where Caesar went out to go fight one of the Pillarmen, and he ended up getting killed. And you felt bad for Joseph because he lost a dear friend to him, and he eventually ended up getting revenge on the Pillarmen, and you'll eventually know what happened if you watch the series. But yeah, Joseph is one of my favorite JoJos due to the fact of how amazing of a character he is and how well developed he is. Alright, number 2 at the list is Joseph Kujo. He's so high on the list for many reasons. A lot of people don't necessarily like him for reasons as to he's very how could I say it? He has anger issues, I guess. He screams at his mom a lot, and he screams at women and calls them bitches or annoying. But I honestly, I found that annoying about him. But once I started to analyze him, he's not too different of a character, and he's just as an emotional character as Joseph if you pay attention. In certain parts of the series, you can notice that, for example, when he's out with friends, like when he was with Polnareff, his grandfather and all his other friends, and you start to realize that he was smiling, and he tends to hide his emotion, and when it comes to certain situations, when he's supposed to be screaming in fear, or he's supposed to be running away in fear or being angry, he bottles up that anger and he puts out all his emotion into Star Platinum, which is, for example, whenever he gets angry about a certain situation, or whenever a certain villain attacks a friend or a certain villain attacks him, he puts all that anger and frustration into Star Platinum, which causes Star Platinum to do the thing that he does. He attacks, and he puts all his anger and frustrations into Star Platinum, or he bottles it up, which causes him to be such an angry character, or seem as such an angry character. Jotaro's just as complex as a character as any other JoJo. A lot of people tend to think he's too quiet, or he doesn't speak as much. That's most likely because he's a very analytical character. He thinks a lot, and most of the time he does most of the talking in his head. Like, for example, before he starts to fight, he's already analyzing what he can use. He's analyzing whether he should use the world. He's analyzing whether he should use Star Platinum and how he's supposed to use Star Platinum. So basically, Star Platinum and Jotaro, they're very intertwined in a sense. And also, I like the fact that he's quiet. It gives him a sense of mystery, and it makes him more mysterious than he already is. And for example, during the whole series, the whole reason he embarked on this adventure is not only to stop Dio, but was also because of his mother being in some sort of fever due to her stand, and her stand was what was causing her to die. And if you look carefully, you see Joseph, old man Joseph, or older version of Joseph, he begins to panic and he starts to cry, and he starts panicking and doesn't know what to do. And he looks to Jotaro, and Jotaro is very calm about the whole situation. He's calm and collected, and he's very analytical, and he thinks to himself, I have to stop Dio. And he's pissed, but he doesn't show it as much, which gives the character a high sense of mystery, and I like that about him. And I also love his design, like I said about part 4, and I also love the ora thing that he does. It's also so bad. And last but sure as hell not least, my all-time favorite JoJo is Jonathan Joestar. He is the most epic fucking JoJo out here, in my opinion. A lot of people don't like him because they think he's too plain or too boring, but he's the first JoJo. He's supposed to be basically a representation of the whole Joestar family tree. He's supposed to represent justice and efficacy and every all of that good shit. He's just an amazing JoJo due to the fact that he's an amazing character. He cares for other people. He's this huge muscular dude, but he's capable of caring for somebody else. Like, for example, with one of the vampires, he knew the vampire, one of the vampires was an enemy, but he still ended up inspiring him and into giving him his sword, which is luck, and he ended up becoming, well, not necessarily befriending the vampire, but the vampire gained his respect. And also due to the fact that Jonathan Joestar is an amazing character because of the fact that he's an all-around good guy, and he basically started off the whole series in a sense when you think about it. If it weren't for the fact that he learned Hamon and basically started the family lineage and took down Dio, and eventually took down with parentheses, and their bodies were ended up being switched, spoilers, this whole series wouldn't have kicked off. And honestly, Jonathan Joestar not only started off the whole series, I love him due to his personality, how well he learned Hamon. He not only Joseph Joestar knows Hamon well, but he learned it as quickly as Jonathan did. Jonathan Joestar learned Hamon very quickly. When you think about it, in the sense of the manga, you think about it in the sense of the anime, he learned it very well, and he managed to do incredibly well to the point that he managed to defend himself against a fucking army of zombie vampires. And he was trained by one of the Zeppelins, and he ended up taking one of the Zeppelins' Hamon life force. And not only that, he's just an all-around amazing character. And if you think he's capable of learning Hamon that well, imagine if he ended up coming across a stand user. If he came across a stand user due to his fighting spirit, obviously he has a fighting spirit if you watch the anime and how well he fights against vampires and everything, he'll basically end up getting a stand immediately. Right off the bat, he'll end up getting a stand, and that stand could possibly end up having Hamon abilities too, or being able to manipulate powers from sunlight. That'd be a pretty badass stand, and an even powerful one at that. And also, I ended up getting a connection with Jonathan Joestar. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be able to relate to a freaking 6'3" vampire killing vampire hunter guy. I'm not going to relate to that, but in a sense, I feel like I can relate to the fact that he put others before himself. His dying wish was for his wife to save a baby that was orphaned from a vampire attack, and that was his final wish. Instead of his wife saving him, he wanted he wanted to sacrifice himself to save everybody else on the boat, well, the baby and his wife. Also, I got a sense of connection with him when I watched the whole series, and I basically watched him grow up, and I basically got a connection with him. And when he died, it honestly really fucking sucked. It made me feel like shit, because I hated the fact that my favorite JoJo died, and that asshole Dio ended up taking his ass down and killing him. But in a sense, yeah, this is my favorite JoJo, and if you guys like this and you want me to keep doing more anime stuff, please leave a like and comment down below that you want more anime stuff, because I'm honestly having fun doing this, and I'm glad you guys could sit here and watch my stuff. Thanks for the support. Bye guys.